In this video, we'll be learning how to play Dart, along with her alter ego, Dangerous Dart. Dart used to work in this lab with his Nobulus guy, and he wasn't so nice, and he did a bunch of experiments on her, so she's scarred for life. Fortunately, she broke free with her picadillo, and now she's riding around Daylor, beating up bad guys, throwing poisonous darts, and being dangerous. Let's start off with Dart's general information. Dart starts high in dexterity, with decent attack power, but she's pretty weak when it comes to getting attacked. Additionally, her stat dice only go from 1 to 3, which keeps the stats consistent when her mat flips over to the dangerous side. Dart's innate is the Picadillo Wrangler. This gives her the trusty Picadillo companion, Board, and his skill die. Before every battle, Board's die is rolled and then placed to a lock slot. He is then added to the battle mat with the health value indicated on the die. When upgraded to the innate +1, this allows the player to place the Board skill die in a lock slot with any value face up. Board enters the battle mat on either a Gearloc melee starting position or directly underneath Dart as a mount. The unmounted version of Board is considered a targetable opposing unit for baddies. In addition, since Board is partially mech, he is immune to the following: Poison, Weaken, Terrify, Stun, Bleed, and Fatigue. In the mounted form, Board is untargetable, and his HP is added to Dart when determining the strongest target. When Dart would take damage while mounted, the player may choose to have Board take the damage instead. If it's true damage or fatigue damage, then Dart must take it. When Board is defeated by any damage, any surplus damage is ignored and not assigned to Dart. Board is then removed from the battle mat and the skill die is exhausted. If Dart is defeated, Board is removed from the battle mat and the skill die is exhausted as well. Board shares a turn with Dart, and he can move up to 2 positions during her movement phase, which does not cost dexterity. If Board moves through or onto Dart's position, she automatically mounts Board. Dart may also mount or dismount Board using her movement by moving into or out of the position Board occupies. She also stays mounted while Board moves, which does not cost dexterity. Note, Board does not have an attack stat. After each battle ends, Board's skill die is always returned to the skills area. Now, let's take a look at the rest of the skill dice, starting with the rest of the bioweapon skills. Below Board is Rejuvium. This die is placed on a companion when rolled. The next time that companion is targeted, it avoids all damage and effects for that turn. It may also immediately heal 2 damage. If applied to Board, the die is immediately removed if mounted. Next up, Stolen Tech. When this is rolled, it immediately unexhausts a number of dice of the value shown. If yellow, it's attack dice. If blue, it's dice of any type for any Gearloc, not just Dart. If the die has both colored values, then it can unexhaust one of each category. The final skill in this tree is Deliriant. This acts as a bones for Dart's backup plan, and if removed to Rampage while dangerous, it boosts Board's movement by the value shown. In order to look at the rest of the skills, we need to understand how Dart attacks. Dart is ranged for targeting purposes, and her attack dice act as darts. The number of darts she can throw corresponds to her attack value. Dart can switch targets as many times as she wishes, but she may only roll 1 attack dice against each target, unless skills or loot allow otherwise. Dart selects all of her dice normally, but rolls dice against each target separately. She rolls all dice being applied to the target, then switches and rolls additional selected dice against the new target. She may do this as many times as she wishes, up to her attack stat, but she can never target the same target twice in a single turn. Any non-targeting dice, such as her defense dice or her skills in the bioweapon profession, are rolled together as normal. Now here's the thing about her single attack to an enemy. It can be loaded with a bunch of pharmaceuticals and narcotics, up to 3 to be exact. These must be rolled with an attack dice, which still cost dexterity. Damage from the attack dice must be applied to the target, as well as any agents rolled with the attack dice. After rolling, any blue bones may be slotted into Dart's backup plan, though they can act as agents as well. Each attack die is exhausted after having been applied. Whenever a bones is rolled for an attack die, an additional die from the supply can be placed to the backup plan, so Dart can keep track of how many darts she has left. If one of Dart's agents is applied to a target, it is placed on top of their chip. Note, Dart can target other Gearlocs as well as herself with agents from the pharmacist profession, but they must be accompanied by an attack die. Any unit with at least 1 agent is considered infected, and units cannot be infected with more than 3 agents. This means that each agent already afflicting a target reduces the number that can be rolled against said target. At the start of the infected unit's turn, all agents are then activated in any order. Then, at the end of the unit's turn, the effects begin to wear off, and one agent of the player's choice is exhausted from the unit. Now let's begin looking at each agent, starting out with the Pharmacist line, which can be placed on either baddies or Gearlocs. When Baccatal activates, the targeted Gearloc places the shown number of bones from available attack or defense dice into its backup plan. If the agent is used on an enemy, that baddie is considered to have rolled that number of bones, which can activate that baddie's skills like Careless. This is Stimulant, which is placed on a unit. Then, when it comes time to exhaust an agent on that baddie, its counter can be reduced instead. Retroactizor can be used to force infected units, either a Gearloc or baddie, to reroll a number of its dice rolled this turn before they are resolved. The final pharmaceutical is Roids, which when activated on a Gearloc or a baddie, that unit deals the number of damage shown on the die to an adjacent unit of Dart's choice. Next up, we'll be tackling the Toxicologist line, which are applied to baddies in order to make them easier to defeat. Numbcore reduces a baddie's movement by the value rolled. Confusatal does something similar, except this reduces attack and changes the baddie's preferred targeting to this symbol. Move a Wound is useful in that it deals true damage equal to the value shown if the target moves on its turn. Agitatazole is the final agent in the Toxicology line and allows Dart to move the affected baddie a number of positions up to the value rolled. Now let's look at the final profession, Pathologist. Tetanus gives a baddie true damage equal to the value rolled. The Lockjaw skill die must be rolled against a baddie with the point value shown or below. That unit's skills are then suspended until the start of the next turn. Mono is the final skill in this tree. Just like Lockjaw, its target baddie must be equal to the point value rolled or lower. This target loses its turn while the die is active, but the agent immediately exhausts if the unit ever loses any health. Dart only has a single consumable, Bandolier. When acquired, this skill die is rolled and then placed in a lock slot. During her select and roll phase, Dart can exhaust the Bandolier skill die to add the number of attack dice shown against that target. This does not cost dexterity or take away from the attack stat of Dart. They are simply extra attack dice used against this one target. We'll end this video with Dart's backup plan, which also encompasses her alter ego, Dangerous Dart. By spending 1 bones, Dart can either recover 1 health or decide to go dangerous via Danger Zone. We'll talk about going dangerous in 1 second. At 2 bones, Biding Time can be used. This adds a bone to Dart's backup plan using attack or defense die from the supply, without removing the other bones. At 3 bones, Quick and Painless allows her to roll an agent from her skills area and immediately apply that agent to any unit without spending an attack. At 5 bones, Fortunate Discovery can be used, allowing Dart to gain her consumable, Bandolier. At 6 bones as normal, the Gearloc can upgrade to an 8+1 and become the Picadillo Master. Now let's rewind back to backup plan option 1, which was Danger Zone. By removing a single bone, Dart can go dangerous once per battle. When this happens, her mat is flipped over, keeping all dice in place. If Board is not already in a lock slot, he is rolled and placed in one of them. This happens even if Board has already been defeated this battle. Then, Board is placed underneath Dart, even if the Picadillo was already in play. Note, Dart cannot unmount while being dangerous. Now, on Dart's dangerous side of the mat, there are 2 changes. The first is the skills area, which is now a mini battle mat corresponding to the actual battle mat. The backup plan is also now called the Rampage track, and every die in it represents 1 rampage. Dart does not use dexterity, attack, or defense stats while dangerous, and she cannot use loot or skill dice. Her active slots become inactive, and the dice in them cannot be used or removed, nor can dice be added to the active slots. After going dangerous, Dart and Board may either rampage or end their turn. To rampage, she must remove 1 die from the rampage track. Then, Board must move 1 or 2 positions, and while doing so, can displace other units by moving into their position. When this happens, the displaced unit is moved 1 position away of Dart's choice. If no positions are available, Board may not displace that unit. After moving, Dart deals 1 true damage to an adjacent unit. In addition, she can unexhaust 1 attack die. Alternatively, if she is on a space that corresponds to one of the exhausted skill dice on her minimat, she can choose to unexhaust that skill dice instead of an attack die. After a rampage, Dart and Board may choose to either rampage again by removing another die from the track, or end their turn. If rampaging is chosen, Dart may not deal true damage to the same baddie 2 rampages in a row. When Dart ends her turn, any remaining dice in the rampage track are removed, and her mat is flipped back over. The mat is also flipped if Dart or Board are defeated or the battle ends. I know I said we'd end with the backup plan, but let's deliver a final blow to this tutorial and give some examples of how Dart operates on a turn. We'll throw some random orcs in the middle of the playmat and say it's round 3. We'll also give Dart some skill dice to play around with, as well as a couple bones. Next, we'll place Dart and Board on the battle mat and say that Dart has already exhausted one of her attack dice. Finally, we'll give this leftmost orc an affliction to deal with from one of Dart's previous turns. Let's begin. Dart is first up in turn order, and she has a total of 5 dexterity to use on skill dice and movement. Luckily, Board has 2 movement of his own on Dart's turn, and he will use it to scoop Dart up and out of harm's way. Dart also still has 2 attack dice left to use, since only one is exhausted, so she will roll them this turn, which costs 2 of the 5 dexterity. Looking at her stat dice, she will choose to roll Numbcore and Stimulant with 1 attack die. With her final dexterity, she will assign Roids to the other attack die. Her first target is the leftmost orc, which already has an affliction. Luckily, each target can be afflicted with up to 3 agents at a time. She rolls the attack die paired with Numbcore and Stimulant in this roll, and both agents are then applied to the target. The orc also loses 1 health from the dart, and the attack die is then exhausted. The second attack die and Roids is then rolled against the other target, the rightmost orc. The agent is then applied to the orc, and the orc loses 2 health before the attack die is exhausted. Finally, this turn Dart can use Biding Time in her backup plan, which gives her free bones. Next round, she may want to go dangerous, and this extra bones could help. The orc peon is up next, and at the start of its turn, the agent activates. Roids forces the afflicted unit to deal the shown value of true damage to an adjacent unit of Dart's choice, so the other orc loses 1 health. The orc peon then moves, unable to attack, so its turn is over. At the end of an afflicted unit's turn, 1 agent is exhausted, so Roids is now inactive. The final turn belongs to the heavily afflicted orc grunt. Each agent will now activate. In this case, Tetanus will finish the unit off, taking 1 health. If the orc had lasted the round, Numbcore could have prevented the orc from advancing its usual 2 spaces, then Stimulant would have ticked down to prevent the exhaustion of one of the other agents. This concludes our video on how to play Dart and Dangerous Dart. Thanks for watching.